So,
all right. So it was for breakfast this morning was sweet potato, and carrot mash, mixed with lamb mince, leek, shallots, and spinach. Mixed together, then put on a low carb wrap with a small amount of.
oh, our line does keep cutting out for some reason.
Yeah, it does. When you press record, it started to blitz out a little bit.
That down record button. Is that what it is? It's ridiculous.
Just as long as you got all the ingredients, because they were good.
They were good. See, the wraps are good. I mean, you do have a bit of bacon and cheese in there, but I think ultimately when we enable ourselves to have more of the good stuff, a Sunday breakfast wrap that has a little bit of cheese and a little bit of bacon is really not that bad when you look at the spectrum of things. It's like, if that's going to be your bad meal, then so what? Like, that's awesome.
Yeah, with the bacon, it was one strip of streaky bacon, so it's actually not that much meat on it, and then you just fry off pretty much all the fat that's on there, and then you put it on there, and the cheese was vintage cheese, and so I just had a very small slice of it just to give the flavour through it, and it was amazing. You really don't need much.
Yeah, I agree. Sounds perfect. It actually sounds great. I ended up having a smoothie bowl today. I've had cooked breakfast every other day of the week, and then today I went, no, I actually want a smoothie bowl. But I still will use the frozen fruits that we have, and I'll put avocado in there, and sometimes a lot of cooked vegetables.
Yeah.
And it makes it creamy, but I add hot water, a warm water, so that I'm not getting a cold dish, because I know that if I have it really cold, I'm going to be ready for a nana within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just making sure. And I like this way the smoothies and those breakfast wraps and stuff like that can be a really great way. Like you've just said you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 vegetables in that one dish, which is awesome. And then in a smoothie, I had capsicum, spinach, avocado, tiny bit of kiwi fruit, orange, pepita seeds, greens mixture, like just you can cram so much into those sort of things. And those are sort of ways to play with food where you're like, okay, so if I'm going to eat right now, how can I be tricky and shove as many different vegetables? And it really saddens me with some of the children around us today that I had a comment from one of ours is like, oh, I don't want to have vegetables at lunch. I have vegetables at dinner. We don't have to have vegetables all day, do we? And it saddens my heart because I'm like, every meal is meant to be the opportunity to get more nutrients in. Every single meal. And so I love that these sort of courses are helping, and you guys are like crusaders on this now of going, no, well, we can have a meal that has lots more good stuff in it. Awesome. Well, I'm hoping that the video, is it cutting out your end as well, Mark?
Yeah, it was only a little bit, but you caught up, so.
I'll speak Shana slowly so that hopefully the video catches up okay.
Yeah, it goes really, really slow, and then all of a sudden you get this quick little bleh, and you caught up.
I thought it just sounds like I get excited and I speak my normal speed then.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. So anything that's coming up for you this week that you're finding at all difficult? I mean, you've been doing this for the second round now, so is there anything that comes up still for you that you find to be a bit intricate, or is there times that you feel like, oh, actually, is there a self-reflection point where you kind of go, oh, things aren't feeling good. What am I? Oh, I haven't been outside, or oh, I'm not going to the gym. Oh, what are the reflections for you?
At the moment, I'm finding I was a little bit worried because I was looking in the mirror and I felt huge. It just felt big. Been going to the gym and everything like that, been going really hard on it. And I weighed myself and I put on 1 kg, but it's not with fat.
Fluid.
Because it could be fluid, and more muscle bulk could quite easily be because the skin is loose. Everything jiggles a little bit more because all the skin is getting looser because it's not being held and pushed out with so much fat anymore, and it feels yuck. And so just realizing what it is, it's helped me feel better about what is actually happening, because it wasn't a fun feeling for a bit there.
I understand that, and I think a lot of the people in the group would understand that feeling as well. You know, you go to all this effort and you're doing all the right things, and then you're kind of like, oh, am I doing everything wrong? And quite often it is just that thing of going, this is just an off week. We're just gonna, I just need to coast through this. I need to not judge it, coast through it, and just be aware. What am I eating? Am I eating at the right times? Am I eating excessive quantities? Am I training at the right time? Because for guardians and diplomats, our training time can mean I'm puffy or I'm lean. I'm puffy or I'm lean just by training at the right time.
Yeah.
I know that I can be bloated as anything if I'm training at the wrong time. If I'm not walking enough, we end up with a lot of fluid retention and swelling when we're not walking and moving enough. Awesome realization. The other one would be to look at where the salt, how much salt is sitting where.
Mm-hmm.
That may play into a bit of the changes in the body shapes and whatnot. Just being aware, because I know that guardians love salt. Food tastes good with salt. It makes sense not to have the flavour of salt. But
when you don't have the salt in there, you notice it, and that sucks.
Yeah, I get that. Celery, surprisingly, celery is actually a salty substance. When you cook food with celery in it, it will taste saltier than it does without it.
Okay. I can chuck that in there. That's easy enough.
Yeah, just grate it up and throw it in everything.
Yeah. So there was that, and also the worry that comes in with adding more carbs, because I need more carbs in my diet because of muscle building.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's always a constant worry for me, because I came from keto side. So when I used to get worried and feel like I was feeling fat, I'd go hardcore with keto and then lose that down there. But by realizing that my body needs it and stuff to be able to lift heavier and go stronger, and need the carbs, is just fighting that battle and not trying to strip them out of my diet.
So a great reframe, if you're allowing me to have that conversation, is when are you choosing to consume the carbohydrates?
In the morning and lunchtime, and pretty much not having them in the evening, because there's no need for it, because morning and afternoon I'm doing a lot more, and then I'll go training and stuff, so I use it. Yes. In the evening I'm not, so there's no point having it then. So
how do you feel about, because you do need the carbs to train, training cycles, because if you're feeling like you're holding a bit more at the moment, you probably have enough reserve to train without the carb boost prior.
Yeah.
Potentially, if you feel you need the energy, you could do something like eat half an orange before you train, and that vitamin C will spike and the sugar in it with the fiber will bring your energy up, give you the insulin that you need to get through the training, but then have your carbohydrates to calm the system and reboot and refuel and restock afterwards. And then that way the rest of your day has no carbs or low carbs, more veggies and protein than anything, more vegetables than anything. That should remove any of the carbs, because if the carbs are coming in too early in the morning, it just might aid in that feeling of puffiness and jiggliness due to the body water loading.
Yeah, I can easily see that. So that's easy done. It's not hard to do at all. I don't usually, I'm intermittent fasting, so I'm not really, I was so used to that, so it doesn't really faze me if I don't eat too much beforehand. Yeah. I'm just trying to change my mindset with a lot of this stuff and realize how much different things my body needs to keep going.
Yeah.
It's just changing all that. Getting there, slow process.
Oh, look, and I think the beautiful thing with having the conversation with you for everyone else is the fact that he's been through this, and like we're into keto, out of keto, into keto, out of keto, and that's the human mind. Like we do that. We go, this is new, don't understand it. I'll go back to the keto, and what I know gives me this result. And then you get there and you go, oh, that's right. This doesn't actually feel that great. Oh, that's right. Okay, now I'll go back. And we're human, so you will bounce backwards and forwards, but every time you get that little bit more of that's right, it is better over there. Oh, that's right, it is better over there.
Yeah.
But it's like the reframing of like, well, I wasn't allowed to have carbs before, but I get to have carbs after I train now. Yeah. And not letting the slippery slope happen where you're like, well, I'm allowed to have carbs now, so it's dinner time. Sweet potato, motherfuckers! Like,
Luckily, I only desire the potato or something like that in a mash with all the different veggies, which is I actually have low carb potatoes because I'm sad like that.
We have them too.
Yeah, so I use them, but I only want them in the mornings or in around lunchtime. I don't want them later on. I just want lighter stuff in the evening. So, like last night, Lisa's been sick, so she made chicken soup. So I've been just having almost a reduction of the chicken soup.
Yeah.
And just having that and overly hungry for it.
Yeah. Awesome. That is perfect. Okay.
I need to make some beef one. All right, let's go have a look with your stuff.
Yes. Okay. So now we're going to get into social. So this week, there was a bit of a chat. If you guys have watched back through the last week and a half videos, you'll see that last week we actually jumped in and we had a quick conversation about place already between Cherry and Jody. Actually, quickly, that just ended up coming into the conversation. So today I'm just going to talk about social. And it was really cool last week, just to rehash on that, how Jody and Cherry, Activator and Guardian, had placed as their priority in that week. But when we went in, we had a look at the difference between the two and the emotional mindset perspective, like the rate, the hierarchy of priority between those two places in the different health types was so contrasting. It could show you their total core values and why. For Jody, it's variety, change, movement, and more active stuff. And for Cherry, it was more about the family and getting outdoors and being in the right nurturing environments to keep someone's health and safety. So Mark being a male guardian, it's amazing. When you look, I've gone into food. That's not what I wanted to go into. With Mark being a guardian, Mark is amazing at sharing with me. He's kept his word with his challenge, and I so truly appreciate that. Is that when he gets out and about in the environment, doing outdoors things, he does send me through proof photos, which I totally cherish and adore, because those sorts of accountability steps, and use the group, guys. Like with this group, it is posting in there going, hey, I'm having this challenge. Hey, I'm having, hey, look at me. I'm actually honoring myself. And gee, I realize it feels really good to be able to go in and keep that accountability happening. This group is open to that. And in Wednesday night's call, there's going to be some really finalizing conversations that you will not want to miss. We're going to be talking about detoxing. We're going to be talking about how this looks after the 6 weeks, how we're going to be finishing it up. So please make sure you just don't miss that one. So social settings. Yesterday, if you guys were following on Facebook, you would have seen that we did a PH360 catch-up in Brisbane. Now, social requirements are different for each and every health type. And just to pre-frame this, we had many guardians and diplomats in the group. It was diplomats running the group, but we had a guardian filtrating the most amount of love because that was just her. She's just made that her zone of genius. She was staying with a crusader who has a mother who's a diplomat in desperate need of some social time. So this woman as a diplomat was exhausted, stressed, hibernating, not feeling good, yet we know as a diplomat, she just needs some social interaction outside of her brick that she's made her life safe box. Okay, so often we can get exhausted, tired, resentful, and worn out living inside our safe little box that we know to be true and the things that we've done in the past, because outside of this box is freaking scary because it's something I don't actually fully know and understand. So knowing that, we could look at her mother and go, you just need, as tired as you are, she'd been to, in fact, she's so off kilter. She was in hospital that morning having oxygen and fluids. But we know that for her health, in that current state, the best thing for her is not home and rest. Yes, she's been resting, but she needed to come out and have some human interaction in order to reboot her hormones, reboot her mind, her soul. So A lot of people will turn to medication, substances, doctors, and complete lethargy to try and reboot themselves. But I want you guys to understand that your social aspect is not just an ego thing. It's not just a for fun thing. It actually is a DNA requirement. You actually need this for your Homo satiety. If you are not socializing in accordance with what's recommended here, you are only giving yourself, it's like baking a loaf of bread, cutting off the crusty best bits and just eating the center, or vice versa, depending on what way you like your bread. You're only giving yourself half a loaf. So stop kidding yourself and realize that this 6-week program is showing you that every freaking part of this platform is crucial. There is not one part of this where you can be like, meh, I'll do that another day. This is your DNA. This is your health. This is your program. I created it to facilitate you integrating this. So honor that. Honor just the 6 weeks that we're here. Honor stepping in and going into each and every section of this and honoring all that this has to show you. And it will change all the time. That being said, I'll now put my sweet teaspoon of honey in my mouth and we'll continue. Okay, so for someone like Mark, I may be able to change my life, my profession, my involvement in projects and myself. People may be surprised at how suddenly you can do that. It's funny, and this goes back to what you were saying about your fitness, really. When you realize in parts of you, in your soul, in your stomach, in your home life, in your profession, in your project at the moment is your fitness. It has been for quite some time. When this doesn't feel good and you get to that point of being sick of it, and no one will change until you get to that breaking point of fed up. You get to that breaking point of looking at yourself in the mirror and being sick to death of the same thing you're seeing. Only then will you reach out and make change. But luckily, Guardians have got such a big heart, such a big social requirement. They actually are capable of making that realization a lot faster than they do. But it's their need for social interaction and social connection that sometimes will slow them from making that decision. So you are really good at changing where you're at. You are really adaptable, which is exactly what that really says. You're flexible to operate in a flexible. You're able to operate in a flexible way. Not everyone is as adaptable as you. So a diplomat compared to a guardian, a diplomat can actually be really stubborn and slow to change. Connectors and activators, they change every day. So for them, it's the norm, but they find it difficult to stick with something. So that's not saying that you're flaky at all. It's more just sort of saying that you are capable when your heart's in the right place of making a change very quickly. The strong aversion to anything that you consider boring, and you may stir up a debate rather than enduring a quiet interaction. So you are a guardian, but you have huge diplomatic traits. Just there, like these two here are activator and diplomatic traits. So you guys remember how back in the beginning I said everyone in here is an element of each health type, just in a different ratio. So you can see in here, in some of these statements, they are specific to another health type. So it just shows you that in your social settings, in your social life, you have got a fair bit of connector and diplomat in you, which we know. I may prefer people who are interesting, easygoing, and non-judgmental, people who are low maintenance, down to earth, and are there for me in a time of need, and are good people for me to have around. So it really just goes to show that, sometimes if you find that social settings, if you are going out to general social settings and you're like, oh, I am exhausted when I come home, or I get there and I actually just want to go home with certain groups of friends, it's probably because they're high maintenance people. And it's not judging them. It's just being able to be aware and go, yeah, I know that when I go out with Emma and Lucy that I love them, but I need to make sure that I have some downtime for myself because I am exhausted afterwards. It's the same thing with like yesterday's event with all the different health types. I was finished. I was meant to go hang out with my girlfriend and I was exhausted. I said, I can't actually hang out with you. I'm so shattered. And it's because there was so much high energy there. I'm starting to really honor a diplomatic side of me and going, they're good content and good people, but remembering and realizing that, yeah, you might have social things coming up. Try and factor in some time after that to recharge. Don't just keep going and going and going and going and going. And you can probably transfer this across to your beautiful wife in the same setting as she gives and gives and gives and has herself as a teaching role and social role, finding the quiet times to reboot every day.
Yes.
Prefer to be around people that are themselves and let go instead of those who are putting on an act. Again, quality people. I may enjoy informal gatherings where people let their hair down and be themselves. Laughing, singing, eating, and get-togethers may be ideal. How did the two of you go about your social getting-togethers now? I mean, I know Alicia's quite busy with work and whatnot, and you've been busy with the kids and stuff. So where are the two of you factoring in some of your time together to go and have some fun, silly time?
We haven't been able to for a little bit, but we've got in the plans to go and do a escape room, to go and do that and get out there and just have some fun doing that and get it out and about. Organising to go out for meals and stuff, just small things, but interaction with the people that we want to.
Yeah, beautiful. And how have you been doing the weekly planner?
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment, okay. Try and jump onto that before the end of this and just think back through it, because I would be curious, and this is a great statement, I'd be curious to see whether your physical presence right now is a reflection of where your emotional and your social where your social attributes are flowing at the moment, whether or not they may actually be. And this is why that weekly planner was so important, because you can look at where's your social life, where's my physicalities, where's my mental mindset, where's my physicalities. And when you can start to reflect on all of those things, you can actually start to see the true pattern of you. Like this all becomes a great statement to read about yourself. This is an awesome horoscope. But when you start to put it into the daily, weekly actions and you go, oh, yeah, I'm bloated at the moment. And that's because I'm stressed at work and I've got this happening, I've got that happening, and I haven't been out in nature for a while. Boom. So the next day you go out and you spend a bit of time in nature, suddenly you're not having cravings. Suddenly you just want to have water instead of coffee and alcohol. Suddenly the next 2 days you're feeling fab, thin, powerful. Oh, gee, funny how that really works. So it's more just an opportunity for you guys to really reflect back on those things.
Yeah.
Good friendships and relationships are an absolute must, as we know. And I mean, I know this is in general, but it actually isn't for every health type. Like if you look at our crusaders, they're more work focused. Friendships are something that they fit in when they can, and they factor it in. You know, it's not like a connector. They need constant contact continuously, and they don't care what shape or size it comes in. These are our beautiful friends that often end up with flaky relationships or flaky friendships, because they're always fluttering around like a beautiful butterfly, which is totally okay, totally fine. But it's just showing you how the guardians of the diplomats need a strong, steadfast flow of friendships and relationships and good dinner parties. And like we're the ones that have the big dinner parties and just have friends over for the chit chat and just bring a plate, and it's more about the conversations. Whereas the activators and the connectors might be like, well, let's go to bounce and let's go do this and let's go do that and let's have some fun, silly time, rather than time where we can actually sit and have a good conversation. We all need variety and change. This is not boxing anybody, but it's just understanding that to give you your core fundamentals of happiness and satiety and connection, these are the things you really need to move towards. And you're still going to have those other interactions, but just know that when you do, you'll probably need some recharge time after those other styles of interactions. Yeah, people taking advantage of you, that's another one. I may not mean to insult or offend, but sometimes my direct approach may offend others more than affect others more than I realize. You and
I realise.
Yeah, Yeah. It's like, and it really is kind of funny because you look back at all these other ones, and then this one just totally is the icing on the cake. It's like there's a no bullshit meter. You want people around you who you can be frank with, who you can have in-depth conversations with, but silly conversations when you want. Because you have such a huge connector side to you, and I can see that one of the other posts up here. And this is what the one-on-ones. Did you watch last training Wednesday nights?
Yeah.
Yep. So in there, I've got about booking the free consult with me. And that's sort of where we're going to sit down and go through all of these different sections. And I'm going to be able to say to you, this is your connector statement. This is your diplomat statement. This is your blah, blah, blah statement. And I'll be able to get through so you can have a bit more of a reflective aspect when you're looking through this and going, oh, so I can fall in love with, yeah, I'm a diplomat, but I've got a huge tendency to be needing activator activities. And then making sure that, oh, I can be argumentative and I can say it really bluntly. But then when people get offended, you can actually turn around and go, no, mate, I just want you to have integrity, or I just want you to have some grit to the conversation that we're having. So don't have your flaky conversations with me because I'm going to call shit.
Yeah.
Which ends up protecting your energy in the end. I think this is what it is. It's about, and also then knowing, then you get to know when you're going to have catch-ups with certain friends, you're like, okay, take my smart brain, put you here, and I'm going to come back to you. I'm just going to put my silly connector brain on for a bit. And I can just love my friends for being the way that they are with no expectations, no judgment. And I think that's the biggest thing is taking away that judgment. Have you found that? Like, are you able to recognize some elements in other people around you these days?
Yeah, I've always been someone that blends into all groups. So it all depends on what group I'm in to what I'm actually doing. Now I'm recognizing it a lot more and not putting up with as much shit anymore and just calling it out because, yeah, I'm old enough to deal with the repercussions now.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, 100%. I think that's the biggest thing I really was wanting to give as a gift out of this, doing the program this way, was going like, understanding that we no longer have to judge other people. And there's no space for they're wrong, they're right. It's just kind of going, oh, look at that cute connector. They're being all boisterous and they're being all butterfly and shiny object syndrome, and that's cool. We can just love them for that and accept them without being like, fuck, she's so hot. Like, God, will she just stick to the ones, like I can't even have a conversation. You can actually just take away any judgment now and be able to go, oh, I can just love this person for the way that they are and know that that's great. And I can always go back to my other conversations. And a lot of people are good at doing that, but this just gives us a bit more structure and science behind it.
Yeah.
People to look for, because this is like an avatar, your avatar of peeps to hang out with. If you don't know about avatars, have a chat with me because that's cool. You're in branding and things like that. And this is one for, and I'll quickly say this, for those who are single and those who are getting into business and anything like this, this section here is actually really, really great to do a bit of an avatar. Draw a stick figure on a page and start writing around the page the qualities of people you need around you. If you're someone who's single or in a relationship, maybe even in a relationship, look at this section here and go, where does my partner fit these things? What are the things in here that maybe I haven't actually noticed in my partner that I can appreciate more? Knowing that that aspect of my partner fills my cup, if that makes sense. So in here, I made family-orientated situations, comfortable and relaxed, caring, a social life. We know all this. Nurturing may come naturally to me. We know that. The biggest nurturer I know. Might enjoy socialising with people who feel supported. Yes, might prefer to socialise with those who are natural and down to earth. Yep, they said that up before. They've got to be on your wavelength to have a really comfortable conversation. But your ability, and like you said before, you have this ability to adapt to all situations. We all do in some element, but sometimes some of us are more comfortable doing that. And that's really your connected aspect that comes out, is that, yeah, you're a guardian and it's so much family and earthiness and connection, but you are so adaptable, which is just magic to really be able to honor that part of yourself.
It makes customer service a lot easier.
Yeah. 100%. Oh, I love that. May enjoy being amongst nature, amongst nature lovers who take comfort with inspiration from the nature. I know this has been an issue for you. Yeah. That's why having Lisa, who is your wife, and she's such a beautiful woman who loves to earth and ground and be in the water and be in nature, is a perfect union.
Yes.
So, and men in the masculine quite often can detach from their feminine side, and I'll label it that way because your feminine side is the nature, the nurture, the wanting to be in amongst earth and whatnot, whereas the men masculine can be like, no, that's not productive, that's not getting things done, that's not me being strong. And I'm totally categorizing here, so just go with it. The masculine side will be like, no, I'm just going to do the stuff. I don't need nature. I don't need to stop. Whereas when you've got a beautiful wife like Lisa, she's able to go, come outside, let's go do something. I need to go ground myself. But these sort of groups are great because we get to sit there with masculine and go, you can be bigger, stronger, and greater when you can attach yourself to recognizing that other part of yourself that needs to be nurtured, that needs to be connected to the earth. That's a bit of a woo-woo for you. A realistic approach to socializing. Well, you sit there and go, well, I got to work. I can't do anything at the moment. Mm-hmm. Practical people help you to thrive. I might prefer to be around people who are consistent and stable. So if I was to look at someone who's really out of whack here and who is feeling quite lost, and I know there's a few people in the program that are kind of in that kind of space of going, oh, there's so much going on around me. My life is in a lot of turmoil. I don't know how to do all this stuff. I'd look at this and I'd say, right, where are you surrounding yourself with the people that aren't honouring you? What parts of your life are in alignment with this? And if you can sit there and go, actually, none of my life is in alignment with this, you've got a big light globe above your head that goes ding, ding, ding. Right. This is where I really need to start tuning in. This is where I really need to start going, so maybe I need to look at the people that are around me. And, there are so many cliche memes out there that say, you are the sum of the 5 people that you hang around with the most. It's legitimately that, because if they aren't these types of people, then you're going to be stressing yourself out. It's same with friends and family. Like, I realized before I got involved with this that my birth-given human connective family are not in any way these people. The friends, the family I had were not. And I'm not suggesting other people do this, but I can now reflect on that and understand why I moved my whole world and split myself from my family and my friends and everything I had at one point in my life and completely uprooted myself, because it just clicked for me one day and I was like, none of this serves me. I didn't know any of this at the time, but I now get to read it and I've learned to make peace. And this is what I really think is for a lot of people. I can now make peace with the decisions I made because I understand that my genes, my core values were screaming at me to up level, were screaming at me to let go of the things that weren't serving me. And like Mark, you were saying with the diet and stuff, I've done the same with my social life. I uprooted myself to the other side of Australia, went, yes, fresh start, back to the same shit. Crap, can work on myself. Moved to another place, fresh start, yes, crap, same shit again. Because what was happening is I wasn't dealing with myself. I wasn't aligning, honouring, accepting, discussing, having a relationship with me. I was constantly out there having a relationship with those around me and wanting other people to facilitate me. And they do to a degree. But ultimately, it's you who has now got a tool that enables you to fully align all those aspects. So I hope that makes sense. And I digress into a long story. But I hope that helped to sort of make a bit more sense of all of that.
Yeah.
intense people may not provide the most sociable. So I would love, if everybody hasn't done this yet, I mean, we've got one more week to go, and I know One Health Type has this as their last week's priority. And it's funny, because I was speaking with, it was Catherine. So I was speaking with her the other day, and she goes, social hasn't come up on my thing yet. She goes, I am very social. Why hasn't it come up on my priorities yet? I'm a crusader, but it must be next week, which blows my mind because I like socializing. And so it's really cool because I said to her, like, when the rest of your life is working for you, socializing becomes natural. You become a more energized person. But she probably won't watch this until a couple of days' time anyway, so that'll be perfect. But what can happen with a crusader, and this is just giving you a good reflection point, a crusader who is too socially active quite often means they are slightly off kilter. And I know that sounds weird. Oh, someone really wanting socializing, how can that be like off kilter? Crusaders who have a crusade, who have a mission, have a purpose. And then crusaders who are adapting to a guardian style, like guardians want the socializing, guardians love all of that. And when a crusader is a little bit out of whack with no passion, no purpose, no direction in life, they will become a little more like a guardian to try and fill their cup with outside energies, outside validation, outside connection, outside love, outside nurture. But when a crusader is sitting in their element, they are on a mission, on a purpose, and they will only need social interaction outside of them doing their crusade because they realize their crusade is their purpose, their passion. So crusaders are the sort of people that if they are hyper social at that time, they just might not have a crusade going on that's leading to them to be passionate enough. And that's not saying that they shouldn't be social, but there's a sliding scale, like there's a sliding scale for all of us. So how that sort of brings you into contact with a guardian who's not being social. Like if you have been very non-social at times, and that's due to you being way off kilter. So that's you going and being like a crusader. Does that make sense? Like that's why Catherine was relevant. Like she's trying to be like a guardian to facilitate the fact that she hasn't probably got a big enough passion, drive, and purpose right now. And you're behaving like a crusader at times because you're like, human thing, I just want this little thing that's mine. Where it's like, actually, you guys need to swap and spend a month. Like I've challenged Jody in this to go and have which by the way, Jody, when you're watching this, where's your 3 social activities? I want to see proof. These elements. Yeah, go for it.
I just sent you some proof of my social activity just before too.
Am I allowed to flick it up on the screen?
Yeah, go for it.
This is great, guys. This is Mark at the beach. These are the sort of photos that are epic in the group because I love this. A picture says 1,000 words. Very true. And there was food you sent the other day. And this is what I said to Mark. So one day a week, Mark goes out and or when he can, they go out and they do breakfast or they do lunch, or they do something together. And this is an awesome, you've got rocket here. Yeah, there's some pork belly. Maybe not the best option, but when it means that there's a beautiful social interaction, if you were having this every day, I'd be saying, yo, check yourself before you wreck yourself. But this here, this is you outside of the house. This is you trying different flavors and textures in the social environment. You may have to interact with some strange humans along the way. All those sorts of things. And this kind of food is still great. You've got rocket, you've got orange, you've got beetroot. I think that's some sort of a cheese or a quaff cheese or something like that.
Yeah, that was a goat's feta. It was a smooth goat feta.
Beautiful. So that's a low dairy. So goat milk is a slightly lighter, not as full of dairy like other cheeses. This is the perfect situation. Like that to me, if that's you not honoring, if that's you out socializing, that's kudos. It's not every day, go fill your cup, get outside, try different flavors and textures. And our guardians, it is so important to take away the angst, take away the emotional righting and wronging and shaming of the food, and just witness what the body and the heart are wanting. Sometimes we go for the food, we probably just want a hug. We probably just want a bit of human connection with the ones that we love, whether it be our children, whether it be our mum, our dad, our partner. Quite often we're going for the food, and that's what I want you guys to be recognizing a little bit more. Are you getting the correct social interactions that are enabling you to make better choices? Are you getting the right physical connections, the right mental stimulations to enable you to make better choices? We're in week 5 now. So I think all of you can understand that there's been different elements that you're kind of like, is that even relevant? Like, how is my home environment affecting the rest of my life? How is my social environment affecting the rest of my life? Well, actually, they're key components. And if you've honored yourself in the money, in the time that you committed into this 6 weeks, then this should all be making sense. And you should be seeing the shifts and the changes around you. And others should be able to see it in you as well. And yes, I like the way it finishes on this. Relaxation might be a big part of my social preference. That is huge, going out to the beach and things like that, and then being able to come home and have, I don't know, a fruit salad with kids to sit on the back deck and joke about the day or things like that, or sitting at the beach with sand between your toes, like those, sand. Sitting at the beach and just spending that time, you can see how that really, when you do this, the food won't matter. When you do this, drinking won't matter. When you do this, the need for excess sleep or the not getting enough sleep or all these things won't matter when you do these things, when you honor these parts of yourself. So I hope, has that sort of helped?
Yeah, it has.
Spectrum of conversation.
It's always a broad spectrum. It's good.
Yeah, covers a lot.
Yes.
So I hope that's kind of facilitated a lot more understanding of this whole side of things. Like, it's not just a horoscope. It's not just words. Oh, it went blank, did it? Am I back now? I can see by Mark's facial expressions where my computer is not keeping up. Hang on. Stop sharing. How are we now?
Yeah. Understanding that it's not just words is what I got up to.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah, perfect. So it's not just the words. It is, those statements are your DNA screaming at you for alignment.
There you go. It just died. I got up to understanding that it's not just words.
Yeah. So it's understanding that the words aren't everything, and these statements aren't just there for shits and giggles. They're your DNA screaming at you. They're your DNA giving you the signs. Like, it's like when Lisa gets sick. Here's a great analogy. When Lisa gets sick, I know that she's a presenter, she's a teacher, and it's give, and her body goes tightening up. I need rest, need repair. And the lymphatic glands swell in her, and she gets a sore throat, and she gets chest and lung things, and because she's always speaking, her energy needs replenishing. So
it shuts her up.
Yeah. The woo-woo part of me said she may need a crystal that is associated with the throat chakra, but also spending time meditating and things like that and coming back to oneself. The body will always tell you what you need, but this here is your DNA in your profile, is your DNA saying, hey, just honor this a bit more and we'll be right. So we might leave it there. We've managed to go well and truly long enough, and I hope that's given you some more help, some more interactions. Please make sure you're doing your weekly planner so you can reflect on it. I hope that conversation in there really showed like why it's so important. There is remeasures coming up next week. We're going to have discussions of remeasures, detoxing, and making sure everyone's booking in, make sure everyone's watched the last recording and start to book in your timeframes for your one-on-ones. Thank you for being on, Mark. Big love to you and Lisa.
No problem. Huge loves.
See you guys.